What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another installment of Countdown Scouting Network. I'm your host and director of scouting, Joey Garcia. And today is the second to last mock draft Monday that there will be before the 2022 draft season. Before I get started, I just want to introduce another member of the family. Welcome, Otis. Look into the camera, buddy. There we go. This is Otis. He's my new cat, new addition to our family over here. Named him after the Otis Anderson from UCF, a running back from UCF. UCF's where I graduated, and felt like we should honor him a little bit. So we decided to get a cat to name after him. So he's going to be a great member of the family, and I'm happy to have him. So, all right, let's get started in this now. I really wanted to introduce him because you guys see my other cats all the time. Just got this one. He is 2 months old, so I felt like I should put him on here before, because he's not going to be on for another couple months before he gets to walk the whole house. So, before we get started, I guess we'll get into some news that has happened, and I'll just start my rant off with the USFL. They had their opening. I'm actually watching a game right now. It got postponed from last night, and so it's on. So if you see me look up, I'm looking at the TV just to check in on the game. So, yeah, so it was opening weekend, and I thought there were some goods and some bads with it. That's my initial thought. Yeah, I think that there's some good developmental moments in it, and I think there are some guys in it that might be able to crack an NFL roster next year. So that's always exciting to see. Again, there was the quarterback play obviously is not the best. We talk about it in the NFL all the time, where there's really only about seven to 10 quarterbacks that are starting caliber quarterbacks in the entire world, and the other 22 that are in the NFL are just getting replaced every couple of years. So you can expect not too many quality quarterbacks will be at this league, but some of them will be. You'll get a guy like PJ Walker, who was at the XFL and ended up getting a chance with the Carolina Panthers, and he's been a backup quarterback, a solid backup for them for years to come. I think there's Jordan Teamu is on Tampa Bay's team. I'm watching him play right now. We'll see if he develops in this league and gets another shot at the NFL. He was with the Kansas City Chiefs for a little while, backing up Mahomes. So who knows? There's a couple defensive backs that look good. There's a couple linebackers look good. The wide receivers and the offensive line have kind of struggled. But there's a couple running backs that might end up getting a shot to crack a practice squad roster coming up soon. So that's always exciting. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about the USFL. I know that it's all at one place. The XFL last year and the AAF, they all played at different stadiums. There was a lot of traveling back and forth. I think it's smart that the USFL is doing it all at one stadium and one centralized location, just so there's no travel expenses. You can put all the money that you have on the field and making sure that you're paying the players and developing players. So I think that was a really smart idea, and I'm sure if this league's successful and goes for a couple years, that they'll eventually go to their hometown teams and actually have traveling and stuff. So I think it's smart how they're doing it right now, as well as doing the opening day on Easter weekend, just because everyone's going to be talking with family. Usually with Thanksgiving, people have football on in the background, so might as well do the same thing with Easter. I know I didn't sit down for every game and watch the entire thing. I just had it on in the background. So I'm sure a lot of people have done that, and I'm sure the network ratings have gone through the roof. So another really smart financial decision they're making, and I think this league is going to last. We'll see what happens next year when the XFL comes back, but I'm really liking what this league is doing with that. So getting into some other news, first off, whiskey of the night is Buffalo Trace. So if you see me sipping on that, it's Buffalo Trace. If you guys are new to whiskey, you probably don't know what that is, because it's one of those that it's a cheaper whiskey, but it's very hard to find. But if you're into whiskey, then you know exactly what it is. So I really don't have to explain it. It's got kind of, I'm not a whiskey connoisseur by any means, but when I taste it, I can taste kind of like a fruitier flavor to it. It's not too sweet, but it's got a little bit of sweetness. So it's nice for me because I'm kind of a beginner and I don't really like the whole whiskey flavor that much, not yet at least. And so it's something that's tolerable for me, and it's kind of my entryway. So next thing, JT Daniels, quarterback from USC, transferred to Georgia, got beat out by Stetson Bennett, and now has transferred to West Virginia. So this is his 6th year in college. He's not going to have any more years after this, but I'm just really curious to see if he can put together a good stint at West Virginia. If he does, he could be not – he wouldn't be fighting for the number 1, 2, or 3 spot at quarterback, because I think that's basically settled in with C.J. Stroud from Ohio State, Bryce Young with Alabama, and maybe Tyler Van Dyke from Miami, possibly throw in there Spencer Rattler if he has a better season at South Carolina this year. So there's a couple other guys but he'll be in the mix for that number, that second, the second wave of quarterbacks, maybe work his way up into the 3rd round. He's just been injured all the time. He hasn't had a very good injury. I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now. Sorry, I'm trying to read chat and I'm also trying to talk, and it's not really working. He hasn't had a good injury history, so GMs might stay away from that unless he can put together a really solid and really healthy season this year. Yes, Tyler, the Buffalo Trace, as long as it gets that job done. I think it is. I'm liking it. So I appreciate you stopping by and watching this. I hope you're watching the USFL team, because I think your team is 4 points behind Toby. So you're losing right now in our fantasy league. We created a little fantasy league for USFL, just 4 people. Didn't want to make it a deep league just because we don't really know who's playing out here. And there's only 8 teams out here. So, we only got 4 people, but I think Tyler's going to lose this week. We'll see. Next thing, there's spring games going on right now. So we'll talk about a couple spring games before we dive into this last. This is going to be our last predictive 1-round mock draft. Next week, I have something special coming out for you guys for mock drafts, because it'll be draft week. So I'm not going to spoil it right now, but just want to let you know that something special is coming next week. So this is our last 1-round predictive mock draft. We might do trades. I'm not 100% sure. So let's get into some spring game talk. So Florida had their spring game on Thursday. They were going to do it on Saturday, realized that it's Easter weekend, and they moved it up to Thursday. They got a prime television spot. And I'm liking what the new head coach, Billy Napier, is doing there. Anthony Richardson, the presumed starting quarterback for them, super mobile guy. He kind of is like if you take Josh Allen and mold him with Cam Newton, he's got a rocket arm. He's fast, he's quick, but he's also really powerful. So I kind of see him as like a Josh Allen, Tim Tebow, Cam Newton, all smushed together type of guy. I really like him. He's really cerebral as well. He just has some accuracy issues, and he looked good in the spring game. He looked like he's developing well. He's also has a little bit of an injury history as well. So we'll have to see if he can get the accuracy under control, and if he can stay healthy for every game this season. If he does, he's going to be a first-round talent. If not, he'll probably come back for another year. But he's a stud, and he's someone to look out for with these next couple draft classes that are coming up. So if you end up watching a Florida game, just look at number 15. AR-15 is the real deal. So he looked good. The defense still looked kind of slow. Transfer running back from Louisiana who transferred to come play for Billy Napier again, Montrell Johnson, I believe is his name. He was a true freshman last year, played really well. This year he's going to be a true sophomore. He looks like he might be the lead back. He knows what to do in this system, and he's really good. It's a wide zone system, and he's got the vision and the patience, and he's also got a decent amount of speed too. So I think he's going to do some damage. Him with AR-15. I expect Naquan Wright to come back and have a full recovery. So that the team is still rebuilding. They don't have the depth in all the places they need, but they could come out and shock some people this year. They're not going to the college football playoffs unless Anthony Richardson takes a huge jump forward, but they might win 9 games. I think everyone's saying about 7 right now, and I could see 7, 8, but I think they could win 9, 10 games and go 10-2, make a nice bowl game. So just be on the lookout for that. Second one I want to talk about is Ohio State. They had their spring game. I didn't get to watch all of it, but I watched some highlights. CJ Stroud looks like the real deal. I didn't watch Alabama's spring game yet. I'm going to see if I can catch some highlights on YouTube. So I don't know how well Bryce Young did, and I understand that CJ Stroud was going up against a defense that probably wasn't blitzing. They probably weren't disguising, going from 2 shell to 1 shell. They weren't sending corner blitzes. So it's whatever the pre-snap read was, that's what it's going to be. But still, he looked really sharp. Threw a bunch of great balls, and I think that offense is going to be really, really good this year. I mean, they lost two of their star wide receivers who are going to go in the top 20. I'd say both of them will be gone in the top 20 of this draft. But they reloaded at that position. They've got 3 guys this next year that are going to be really, really, really good. So if that defense can get a little more physical, I think they could be favorites to win the college football playoff. So again, they're going to be an explosive offense, and they're going to be a fun watch as well. So keep looking out for them. The final one, because again, I didn't watch all the spring games. I don't know really where everyone's playing. But I'm a coach at a local high school near me, and we took a trip to UCF spring game. We just took a couple players, about 6 or 7 of them. We got recruiting passes, and so we got to go back in like these special areas, and we got to go on the field. So that was fun. So it was a really fun time. Got some free food, got some free waters. The waters were the best part because it was really hot out there. I'm burnt right now. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'm burnt. This isn't just a tan. This is a burn. The game was fun. I'm a little concerned with their presumed to be starting quarterback Mikey Keene. He did not look sharp at all. He actually started with the number 2s. The transfer from Ole Miss, John Rice Plumlee, is starting. He looked okay. The offensive line looked terrible. And the receiving core, after the first 2 guys, I don't know. The backup receivers weren't looking too good. So this could be a bad year for them. But you never know. If they can get some quarterback play, I think they'll be good. But right now, quarterbacks just do not look up to stuff. So we'll continue to look through there through the summer and into the regular season, but not very many draft prospects. From there, there's Jay Flash. Jalen Robinson is his name. He's a wide receiver, transferred in from, I think, Tennessee. He's a speed guy on the edge. He's small, though. But he could be a guy that comes in the 4th, 5th, 6th round next year if he decides to declare, and he might end up being a decent guy for someone. The defensive backs, they have a couple decent ones, but again, they're young. A lot of them are sophomores or true juniors, so they probably won't be coming out this year. Just waiting for a guy to step up on that team. So that's all I have for spring games. Oh, going back to it, I forgot I wrote it down. AR-15. So Anthony Richardson, the guy I said for Florida, that's going to be, really, he's got a chance to make his name and go in the first round this year. Well, he was caught at 4 o'clock in the morning over the weekend, 4 o'clock in the morning, going 105 miles per hour. He was driving 105 miles per hour at 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't have any more details on it, but that's something to consider and something for us to keep a close eye on, just because he's a guy that I have as a first-round talent either this upcoming year or the year after. And you just can't do that kind of stuff. I understand he's, 19 years old right now, but I mean, that's the kind of stuff that gets you locked away and you don't, you can kill yourself, kill someone, or, end up not even making it to the league. So I'll address that as we get more information on it, but I just wanted to put that out just so everyone's aware. Awesome. I only got a couple more things to talk about before we get going. Denzel Ward just ended up getting a payday. He got a 4-year, $100 million contract. I'm not sure how much of it was guaranteed, but that makes him the highest paid cornerback by average per year basis. Um, and that sets a huge market. I think there's going to be a bunch more corners that end up getting paid around the 25 mil a year mark, especially since wide receivers just bumped up where they're getting between 25 and 30 million a year. So you're about to see a boost in the cornerback market, and you might see a lot more young guys get drafted early just because they don't want to, teams aren't going to want to pay 25 million for a corner when you can use your first round pick and get them for 2.5 million a year. So that's going to be exciting to see as corners move up the board. I think we could probably get five, maybe 6 corners taken in the first round of this draft. I'm trying to think. Well, we're going to do a mock draft so we can kind of see it there. But I think you're talking about 4 to 6 corners are going to go in this first round. So it's going to be really exciting. And last thing before we get into it, Deebo Samuel, who's on a contract year, A.J. Brown, contract year, Terry McLaurin, contract year, all wide receivers, all were second and third round picks in the same draft class, are skipping on-field drills until they get a new contract. Again, they're going to be between $25 and $30 million. DK Metcalf, who is in that same draft class and drafted in the second round, he's also on a contract year, but we have gotten no word about if he is going to sit out or not. Yeah, so that's a little worrisome. Again, I think 1, maybe 2 of these guys will end up getting traded, but I don't think all 4 of them will. I think DK might. You could see Deebo possibly getting traded, especially if he's talking about he doesn't want to sign a long-term deal in San Francisco. I've been saying he's probably going to get traded. A.J. Brown, I don't know why they would trade him. And Terry McLaurin, I don't think you should trade him just because, you've got a new quarterback coming in. Just end up, you have either Carson Wentz on a really cheap deal, or next year you're going to draft a quarterback anyways, and you're going to have a quarterback on an $8 million deal, So I think you got to keep Terry McLaurin and you got to support that cast. Laura, would you be able to turn on the light over here? Sorry. Yeah, so again, you draft these. The thing is you draft these guys to hope they're good. And you get them in the second and third round to hope they're good. And then they are good. And you prove that they're good. You play them. And then you should pay them. If they're good, right, you draft them to keep them. The goal is to draft good players and then keep good players. It seems like it should make sense, but a lot of these teams, they want to go value. And value is good in some positions. I definitely think value is good in some positions. But again, when you get a guy in the second and third round and yes, exactly, George, we'll address that. Pay your wide receivers, not your running backs. I agree. If you get a running back in the first, second round, I don't like going running back in the first round, but I love running back in the second and third round. Play them through their rookie year or their rookie contract, and then don't pay them a second contract just because of how beat up you get in this league. But your wide receivers can go for days and days and days. And again, if you're getting a guy in the second and third round and you're paying them in the second round, you're getting less than $1.5 million every single year until that last year. I think the last year you're bumped up to about $3.5–4 million. So again, $3.5–4 million for Terry McLaurin, for DK Metcalf, for Deebo Samuel, for A.J. Brown. If you're telling me I get A.J. Brown, if I get any of those guys for $4 million a year, again, you're getting them for $4 million a year, and the years before that, you're getting them for 1.5 or less. And I understand you don't want to shell out $25 million to a receiver. I get that. But the salary just went up $25 million. Next year, it's projected to go up between $8 and $15 more million. So if you got a rookie quarterback like Trey Lance, you have a prove-it-year quarterback with Carson Wentz. You have a quarterback who needs help, like Ryan Tannehill. Or again, you're going to have a rookie quarterback or Drew Lock with DK Metcalf. All of these guys, you need weapons around them. You need a supporting cast. The reason why you have these rookie quarterbacks or you have these mid-tier quarterbacks is so you don't have to pay them top-tier quarterback money. You're paying these guys between $20 million and $5 million is what you're paying all of these quarterbacks. And so you're doing that so you don't have to pay them $40 million. And with the rest of that money, you put it in a staff that can be around them, like all these weapons. So I don't understand why they would, unless they're talking about, if Terry McLaurin's going for 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and a third-round pick, okay, maybe you make that deal, especially if you feel confident in getting a guy like Jameson Williams at 11, and then at your other first-round pick, you get whatever you want, or if you – I don't know. I'm trying to help these teams out, and I just can't really understand what their thought process is behind it. But we'll see what happens. I'm assuming 1 to 2 of these guys will get traded on draft night. So more on that next week probably. So all right, that's all the NFL news I have. Now let's get into this mock draft. Let me share my screen. Again, it's a 1-round mock draft. We're going to take it slow. I think I am going to split it up and do the first 16 picks right now. And on Thursday, do the last 16 picks. I think we're going to do that. That's more fun for me. That's more fun for you guys. I get to kind of relax a little bit. I don't have to feel like I'm rushing, that I'm rushing 32 picks. And what I'm trying to do in about an hour and 15 minutes. Plus, I've already used 25 minutes on it just ranting. So, George says, I think the difference between wide receiver 5 and wide receiver 15 is much larger than the gap between running back 5 and running back 15. Running backs on the rookie deal is the way to go, in my opinion, unless they're elite. Yeah, I agree with that. I think, again, I would say between wide receiver 5 and wide receiver 20 is much larger than from running back 5 to running back 15. I agree with that 100%. The only thing I do want to push back on is like, again, you're talking about unless they're elite, and I'm with you on that. When you have like an Aaron Jones, the way that they did their second contract versus an Ezekiel Elliott, how they did his second contract, I agree with the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Jones, where you give him a 3-year deal, you give him nice money, but after 2 years, you can dump him if you have to. Ezekiel Elliott, they gave him like a 5-year deal. They gave him like 80% of it guaranteed. They can't even dump him this year, and they're like 3 years into that deal. So I agree with you. But again, at a certain extent, you have to make it a short-term second-year deal. That's how I feel about it. Just because you can go from Todd Gurley being MVP level to all of a sudden the next year he's a shell of himself and he's out of the league in 2 years since he got paid, almost became the MVP, and then out of the league within 2 years. So you just have to be careful with it. But I agree, if you're elite, give them a second contract. But again, be careful with it. All right, so let's get into this mock draft. So I'm not going to do trades. I've decided I don't want to do trades. But I do want to try to make this as predictive as possible. Usually what I've been doing is I'm the GM of all 32 teams, and what I want or what I would do is what we'll do. I'm going to make this predictive. Next week when we do our special thing that I haven't talked about yet, we'll do that one as what I want to do as all 32 teams. So what I've been hearing here is that tackle is not out of the table, tackle is not off the table. And I've also been hearing Aiden Hutchinson, if it is edge, is not necessarily the pick. And I am tending to agree that it is going to be edge rusher. And so we're going to go ahead with Trayvon Walker out of Georgia as the number 1 overall pick. Again, this is something that's been floated around out there for a little while, probably for the last couple weeks. It could just be a smokescreen, but I don't know why with the number 1 overall pick, why you would throw a smokescreen. I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and believe that Trent Baalke, who's always been a guy about elite traits, is going to end up going with a guy with elite traits, even though he doesn't have the production on the field. But he's a guy, Trayvon Walker is a guy who can play your end. He can play your 3 technique. He can even come into a 1 technique if it's for, passing downs. He's someone that can play really all along that line. He'll need some development though, just to get every ounce out of him. All right, another thing I've been hearing is Malik Willis at 2, but it has kind of been quieted down just from Dan Campbell's press conference talking about you can win without an elite quarterback. I think he's trying to set us up for them not getting a quarterback at 2 or 32. I think they're going to trade out of 32 to a team that's coming in for a quarterback, and maybe they get a quarterback later on if it's, if Sam Howell or someone like that is there. But right now, I don't see them drafting a quarterback at 2, most likely not at 32 either. George with another message. Kayvon Thibodeau is better. I could definitely see the Jags taking Walker, though. I agree. I think Kayvon Thibodeau is better than Trayvon Walker. Again, both of these guys are highly athletic, and I do like all the traits they both have. Again, both of them don't really have the production, though, is the problem. So right now you're just guessing on traits. And I don't know why KT's not been talked about. I think he goes in the top 5. A bunch of people keep saying he's going to drop out of the top 5 and maybe even out of the top 10. I don't believe it. I don't believe it one bit. I don't think he goes here at 2, though, just because his attitude about football is not eat, breathe, and sleep football, which that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does kind of worry GMs is what I'm being told. So with that being said, I think Trayvon Walker's number 1. At number 2 for the Lions, again, it's not going to be quarterback. They really can go best player available here. I think you go with the Michigan guy who, again, eats, breathes, and sleeps football. He's been training at Michigan for the past 2 years is what he's talked about it being like an NFL. He's been training like he's in the NFL and it's a job every day. I think they're going to love that. Plus, he's a Michigan guy. The fans will love it. And I think he's a hard enough worker where Dan Campbell will love it as well. So we'll go ahead and go edge rusher. Now, if you are the Houston Texans, I would really want to trade out of here. They need a lot of guys. I would like to trade back just a couple picks. I'm not trading back too far. I'm just trading back, maybe 4 picks, something like that. Someone that wants to jump in front of the Carolina Panthers to get a quarterback. So, maybe you drop to 11 with Washington if they want to get a quarterback, drop to 9 with Seattle if they want to get their quarterback, 8 with the Falcons if they want to get their quarterback. This is around the range where teams are calling. If a quarterback doesn't go to 2 to the Lions, this is probably where teams are calling, saying, hey, how much is it going to cost? And I don't think it's really going to cost as much as some people are thinking. It's not going to cost as much as when, last year when San Francisco moved from 12 up to 3, and it cost them like 3 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks, something crazy like that. It's not going to be that. It's going to be probably if you're at 11 right here, you're the Washington Commanders. Sorry, I was trying to think of their name. I didn't want to slip up. If you're the Washington Commanders, you probably are paying 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick. You're not paying that third first-round pick just because the market's not going to be that big. And if they don't want to trade back for that, then they won't trade back. So I think this is a good spot to be trading back. But if not, they'll just take best player available. And I think right now, best player available. So I'm just reading this comment by George. I used to believe you take the guy that eats, sleeps, and breathes a sport, but Anthony Edwards literally said he didn't really like basketball, and he just dropped 30 in the playoffs yesterday. That's true. Didn't he say he likes football more than he likes basketball? Yeah, it's true. I still think these NFL GMs and these NFL owners are stuck in their ways, though, where, again, Kayvon Thibodeau, who, he's a great football player, but he's all about his outside businesses and making sure that he helps the community and all this kind of stuff. some of that stuff is a distraction that some NFL teams don't like. Even though, again, I think it's fine. So I'm with you on that. But I think they're still gonna stick with that. So I think KT goes here. I think we put him right here. I think he's best player available unless you want to take Evan Neal. But there's really not a spot for Evan Neal on this team other than kicking him inside because Titus Howard played really well at right tackle last year. And I think he could end up being a Pro Bowl right tackle. And you have Laramie Tunsil. You just kind of restructured that deal to make it better. So I think you could do Evan Neal. I think Ike Ekwonu is a good pick there too, but it's going to be KT. So we're going edge. And the Jets fans are probably going to be a little upset about that. They could go Sauce Gardner, but I don't think this defense values cornerbacks that way. They value edge pressure, and that's why they're probably really frustrated that Jermaine Johnson's the next guy. You also have David Ajabo and Boye Mafe are other guys, but again, you're not going to take them at 4. So I think right here it's going to be one of these tackles. Again, stuff that I'm hearing is that they're not happy with Mekhi Becton. They're not happy with his weight. They're not happy with him getting injured because of his weight. They think that most of that is because he's, not doing all he can. So I think they're going to take a guy like Ike Ekwonu. That's who I'd take. That's my tackle one. And again, I'm not trying to make this about me. So they could end up taking Charles Cross, number 1, just because he's a good he's really good with the pass blocking. But I think they're going to take one of these two guys, and I think Ike has stolen the show. So I think they go ahead and take their new left tackle and move Mekhi Becton over to right tackle to battle it out with George Fant over, or is it Moses? I think George Fant is over at right tackle right now. So they're going to go ahead and get another tackle. I love Ike. I think he's going to do really well in that position. All right. So the first pick out of the 2 that are coming up with the New York Giants, again, I could see them taking Sauce Gardner here just because I think they're going to I keep hearing that they're going to try to sell James Bradbury. I don't know why they wouldn't just re-sign him. Again, it's one of those things where you draft good players so that you can pay good players and that you can play good players, right? That's how it goes. And for some reason, I don't know what their cap is like. Their cap shouldn't be that bad, but I think they're looking to sell him. So I could see Sauce Gardner going here, corner from Cincy. I could see them taking one of these tackles, especially a guy like Evan Neal, because you have Andrew Thomas, the left tackle from Georgia, who's been playing okay this last year at left tackle. He's kind of starting to find a groove. So you can get Evan Neal and play him. You could also start him off at guard if you had to. Charles Cross is purely a left tackle, I think, so I don't think that's going to fly. You could also take a guy like Kyle Hamilton, right? You can take a guy like Kyle Hamilton and just take who I think is right now the best player left in the draft. Ahmad Sauce Gardner's close, but I like Kyle Hamilton's versatility a little bit better, so I have him ranked slightly above him. I think you go tackle just because, it's going to be either quarterback here at 6 or it's going to be a tackle. And so let's take your tackle and you can focus here on corner. So we'll take Evan Neal. I think that's who they would end up taking. You can play him out the right side automatically. It's going to be all good, and move him in at guard if you have to. Now, at number 6, you have the Panthers. I think they need to take their tackle. They've had a different left tackle since 2012. That's 10 years of a new starting left tackle every single year. So I want them to take Charles Cross. What I'm afraid they're going to do, because Matt Rule is afraid he's going to lose his job after this year, I'm afraid they're going to take a quarterback. And a quarterback class I don't think is worth a top 10 pick. I don't think it's worth a top 20 pick. I think if you took Malik Willis at 20, I think that's pushing it a little bit. But I think that's fine. If you took Desmond Ritter past 20. I think he needs to go way later than that. And again, Kenny Pickett I like, but I don't think he should be in the top 20 either. So if you take any of these quarterbacks at 6, that general manager needs to get fired. So I don't think the general manager will let him take a quarterback. As much as people are thinking he'll take a quarterback, I think they take this left tackle, Charles Cross. All right. Now that you got your tackle before the Panthers did, now you're back on the clock. You can go ahead and get whoever you want. You can go ahead and get Kyle Hamilton. You can get Sauce Gardner. You can get one of these edge rushers here. I think this is a good spot for one of those edge rushers to go, which the only ones left you're talking about is Jermaine Johnson, who's really worth it. Boye Mafe, this is really, really early for him. It's early for David Ajabo, who, again, is a traits guy who needs to be developed, but he tore his Achilles, so it's going to be a while before you can develop him. You could also get a corner if you think James Bradberry is going to be gone. So I think they get this corner. I think they go Sauce Gardner here. And then if James Bradberry is gone, if you sell James Bradberry, that's fine. If not, you got 2 really good corners. So I'm going to go ahead and get Sauce Gardner. Right. Pick number 8, we have the Atlanta Falcons. Right now they have Mariota. They've got really no wide receivers in that core. I think Frank Darby is their number 2 wide receiver right now. Kyle Pitts is going to get a lot of targets. We'll say that. So they could go and get a guy like Jermaine Johnson. I think Arthur Smith is okay waiting. He could get a quarterback here, but I think what I feel like is that Arthur Smith is a guy who's all about getting value, and I don't think he's stressing his job right now. I don't think the general manager is. I think everyone's on board that this is a rebuild. Starting now, it's going to take 3 years until we'll know that this rebuild is working. So you can get a wide receiver here. Again, Calvin Ridley's probably going to be back next year, so you don't have to force a wide receiver pick. If you like a guy, good for you. You can get a quarterback if you're in love with a guy like Malik Willis. You can get Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ritter, any of those 3. If you're in love with them, go ahead and grab them here. But again, I don't think you need to pull that trigger. A pick that I really love and something I've kind of heard is they're going edge rusher here, wide receiver here, or if Kyle Hamilton is still on the board, they go ahead and get a defensive unicorn to pair with their offensive unicorn that they have with Kyle Pitts. So, I don't know if they pass up wide receiver here. I think this is a spot where they can trade back. So it's kind of hard for me right now just because I don't want to grab wide receiver here because I think if they're going to get wide receiver and they're not in love with a Garrett Wilson or a Jameson Williams, then I think they trade back a few picks for someone that wants a quarterback and pick up some more stuff. So right now with me, it's between Jermaine Johnson and Kyle Hamilton. I'm going to go Kyle Hamilton. Just something I feel. We'll see. That's the hardest pick so far for me. Is trying to project what they're going to do. That was the hardest pick right there at number 8 with the Atlanta Falcons. So ended up getting Kyle Hamilton. Let's see if I can go ahead and if I can move my. I want to be able to move. Yeah, I'm trying to move my my face so that we can kind of see all the picks as they're going, but that's okay. That's all right. Don't worry about that. So yeah, Kyle Hamilton for the Atlanta Falcons at 8. Now at number 9, right now they have Drew Lock at quarterback. They've got Geno Smith, who they've spoken highly about. Geno Smith is not the guy. Drew Lock, I don't think is the guy either. So right here, you can get yourself your quarterback. You can go ahead and get an offensive lineman because they've really struggled to get in these offensive linemen. Or you can help out the defense. So just scrolling through, Andrew Booth is there. You got Andrew Booth, you got Derek Stingley. I'm still concerned about Derek Stingley's health. I don't know if Pete Carroll is going to be. They love their defensive backs. I think they should take a premium position unless they're in love with one of these quarterbacks. I heard the only quarterback they brought in on a visit was Sam Howell, which that makes me think that they're not looking quarterback in this draft at all, unless Sam Howell falls to the third round. So if Sam Howell falls to the third round, they're going to think, oh, well, we can get our Russell Wilson. He was in the third round when we got him. If Sam Howell's in the third round, we'll get him again. I don't think it's going to work out that way. I don't think they can take quarterback here either. And this is the thing. Now quarterback's starting to fall. You don't have a single quarterback going in the top 10 because, spoiler, I don't think the Jets are taking a quarterback. I think they believe in Zach Wilson. I think they just need to put some weapons around him. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take Derek Stingley for them. I think they're going to try to shore up that defense again, and just help out their quarterback with shoring up that defense. So the Jets are on the clock for the second time. They went ahead and got Ike Ekwonu with their first pick at number 4. Now at number 10, they can go ahead and get their edge rusher, or they can go ahead and get a wide receiver. So you can go ahead and get yourself Jermaine Johnson, who I think is really good and still has a lot more room to improve. So you can go ahead and do that. Or you can go ahead and get yourself one of these wide receivers that can help out your young, developing quarterback. I think you can find wide receivers. They've got two more picks. They got 2 picks in the second round, 35 and 38. I think they package those and move up into the beginning of the first round and get one of these. They could do that and get one of these wide receivers. I've been told I've been told that they might use this one on a wide, or that they're definitely using this one on a wide receiver. So I'm going to go ahead and give them Jameson Williams. He's my number 1 wide receiver. They need a speed threat and an outside guy in New York. And also they're not trying to win now, so they don't care that Jameson Williams is going to miss the first half of the season. As long as he comes back as hard as he came at Alabama last year. I don't know. I was at a loss for words right there trying to explain that. All right. So there is Carson Wentz here. Malik Willis is still there. I don't know if Malik Willis is going to fall past 6. I don't know if Kenny Pickett is going to be the pick at 6. Right here, all I know is the defense doesn't need that much help as long as they're healthy. It's really cornerback. If Derek Stingley's here, I think they go Derek Stingley. They can go wide receiver to pair up with Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin, unless they trade McLaurin. Or they could go quarterback if they don't really believe in Carson Wentz. But if you don't believe in Carson Wentz, why trade for him? I understand that you traded 2 third-round picks. But again, there was no market for Carson Wentz. So why trade 2 third-round picks for Carson Wentz when there's no market and no one's trading for him? And Indy is going to have to dump him. Why trade? It doesn't make any sense unless you believe he's your guy, unless you believe you can win with him. So I think Ron Rivera thinks he can win with him, but I don't think they're going quarterback here as well. Again, quarterback continues to fall. So I think you go best player available here. Best player available. You can get another edge rusher. All right, that's just a little greedy. Their defensive line is legit. Get another wide receiver. Could see that happening. Get Trevor Penning. I don't think so. No, thank you. Zion Johnson. No, thank you. Corner. Go ahead and get Andrew Booth here or Kyer Elam. Those are my next 2 guys, Andrew Booth and Kyer Elam. I had Trent McDuffie fall in a little bit just because his arm length. I think he's a purely slot corner now. You could go Booth here. I don't like it. Can I say that? I don't like the Booth pick right here. And I don't see them doing it. I don't think they'll do it. I pray they don't do it. That's not true. I don't really care if they do it or not. I think you go wide receiver. And if you got Terry McLaurin, he's a route runner who's got a big wide radius where he can catch the ball. You got Curtis Samuel who can do everything behind the line of scrimmage. You can go ahead and get a jump ball guy with Drake London. So now all of a sudden you got somebody that can do each thing that you want a wide receiver to do. You go ahead and get Garrett Wilson, who is kind of like Terry McLaurin, but a little bit faster. You can go ahead and get Chris Olave, who is my favorite of all of them that are left, and he can be your game breaker. I think whichever one of these guys they get, except for Drake London, I'm not that big of a Drake London fan. I don't know what to tell you, man. I think they go. I like Chris Olave, and if I was the GM, I'm taking Chris Olave. Okay, I'm not the GM in this mock draft. This mock draft, it's the Washington Commanders. They're making the pick. They're going to go Garrett Wilson, who, again, I think this is a slam dunk pick. I think if you got Garrett Wilson at 11, awesome. If you get Chris Olave at number 11, awesome. You get Drake London at number 11, hopefully he stays healthy for you. But Garrett Wilson here is slam dunk. That's an awesome pick. Good job. Everyone's clapping. Their quarterback, Carson Wentz, is in the Bible praying, thanking them for getting Garrett Wilson. Now we move on to the Vikings, who extended Kirk Cousins. I don't know why. They went, 6-11 last year? Did they go 5-12? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Did they win 6 games this year? I don't know. So why are you paying your quarterback $40 million a year when he can't win you games? It doesn't make sense. Do you draft a guy to replace him? No, because you have him on the books for 3 more years. I'm shaking the table because I'm so mad. You have a quarterback who can't win in the playoffs. You know he can't win in the playoffs. He had a way better team than this 3-4 years ago, and he could not win in the playoffs. And you're paying him $40 million a year, 35, whatever it was. I don't even know what it was. $35 million for the next 3 years, basically fully guaranteed. So now you can't take Malik Willis, because if you take Malik Willis, sure, he needs 2 years to develop. Sure, he needs 2 years to develop. But then why not go and get yourself a bridge quarterback like a Mitchell Trubisky? Why not trade this guy? Why? I don't know why you would stick it out with him. So I don't think they're taking quarterback this year. I think maybe next year. I don't know. This confused me. I'll be 100% honest with you. The Vikings confused me. I don't really know what they're building in there. I don't know what they're building in there. I really don't. This is not a playoff team anymore. Everyone's old. Everyone's overpaid. You need to shut it down. And they just aren't. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get them Jordan Davis, freak defensive tackle, shore up that defensive line a little bit. Again, you could have gone Devontae Wyatt there. I think Devontae Wyatt's a good pick there as well. I think Jermaine Johnson works there as well. But Jordan Davis is going to be the pick. And I'm fairly certain on Jordan Davis being the pick there. But I definitely think it's going to be a defensive lineman. All right. So right here, you can really do anything you want as Houston. Again, if I'm Houston, I'm trading back. At 3, they went ahead and got KT? Yeah, Kayvon Thibodeau. They could have traded back from 3. I think they can trade back from 13. There's a lot that they can do. And they can get another edge rusher and get Jermaine Johnson. I think that'd be a little crazy, but they could do it. I think it's best player available here. You can get an offensive guard like Zion Johnson. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Zion Johnson can play multiple positions. He can play left guard, center, and right guard. He can also go out to tackle a little bit if you need him to, but I wouldn't have him playing tackle. You don't go quarterback here. You got Davis Mills, who's been playing pretty well. I think he probably would have been the number 1 quarterback if he stayed in school for another year. I do believe that he'd be number 1 or number 2 with Malik Willis and him. And Kenny Pickett is good too, but I think I like Davis Mills coming out more. I don't know what to do. How about you just take best player available? If they really like Andrew Booth, they take Andrew Booth. They like one of these wide receivers, they can take one of these wide receivers. They have Brandon Cooks. They have Nico Collins, who they traded up for last year. So they could do that. They could also get a linebacker. Do you really want to trade? Do you want to get a linebacker here? I think they're trading back. I don't believe they're making a pick here. That's just what I believe right now. But if they get linebacker, Devin Lloyd, I like Devin Lloyd. I don't think he should be here. Gosh darn it, I'm gonna have to make a pick. I think they've got a burner. They got Nico Collins. Let's just go ahead and get them Andrew Booth, get them a corner. I don't know. That one's tough too. That was the second hardest pick of this entire thing. So we are about to hit an hour. We're at 50 minutes right now. So we'll just go to 16 today, and Thursday we will finish 17 through 32. Okay. So the Ravens go best player available. They can get Jermaine Johnson. If they like him, or they want Devontae Wyatt. It's going to be one of those two guys. I think with what they're doing, let me look at the edge rushers and see who will be there for their second round pick, right? The David Ajabo might make it to the second round pick. Logan Hall, Drake Jackson. Okay. Now, what about their interior defensive linemen? So for their second pick, maybe Travis Jones, Fidarius Mathis. So I think they go to Devontae Wyatt. I think they feel like they can get a better edge rusher with that other pick. They could go with an interior offensive lineman, but it's not worth it at this point, I don't believe. Okay. So now with the Phillies, they've got two picks because they traded 16 and 19 or 18, a first rounder next year, and a bunch of stuff, because this year they're going to give Jalen Hurts one more shot. And so I think with that, they're going to put weapons around him, whether that be an offensive lineman, whether that be receivers, whether that be a little bit better of a running back. I don't think they really need – excuse me, there's motorcycles flying past for some reason. I don't think they need any more running backs. I think it's going to more than likely be a wide receiver at one of these spots. I think it'll be this one because I think they don't want the New Orleans Saints to take a wide receiver. So it's either that or a corner here. And again, Trent McDuffie doesn't really fit their scheme at all. It's the way that I'm seeing them. So maybe they take Kyer Elam here. I do think it's a little early for Kyer Elam. At 18, if they want to take him because they don't have another pick until later in the second round, okay. But I think right here they got to take their wide receiver. And if they take Chris Olave and pair him up with Quez Watkins, who kind of turned it on a little bit, Dallas Goedert, the tight end, and Devonta Smith, I think if you have Chris Olave and Devonta Smith as your two wide receivers, there's no excuse for your quarterback at that point, unless the offensive line's really, really bad. So go ahead and give them Chris Olave at pick 15. All right. So the last pick in this mock draft for today is going to be the New Orleans Saints, who traded up to 16 to get in front of the Chargers. And I think they got in front of the Chargers to get a tackle. There's a tackle staring me right in the eyes right now. The last of the top 4 tackles. And after that, there's a pretty big drop-off. So I think they traded up to do that. I think they're going to go tackle here. So they're going to go Trevor Penning, tackle from Northern Iowa. He's a really good freak athlete. He loves contact. He's super physical. He can kind of lean forward a little too far. He also kind of gets beat on speed to power type moves, but he's a developmental guy. If he's stepping in to be their left tackle day one, they're in big trouble. Jameis Winston is in big trouble if he's stepping in to be their starting left tackle. But if you give him a year to learn, I think he has all the tools that it takes to be a franchise left tackle. So that is it for today, guys. I really appreciate you guys stopping by. I appreciate all the insight. George, thank you for joining. Tyler, I appreciate you as well. I am going to go ahead and watch the rest of this XFL game and finish my glass of whiskey. And Thursday, we will go ahead and finish off pick number 17, the Los Angeles Chargers, all the way to pick number 32, the Detroit Lions. So, again, thank you for stopping by. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you again Thursday. Thank you, guys.